it's become like the family mantra. But my father was a All-American 400-meter runner, and his coach was one of like the guys who put up like the fist in the 68 Olympics, gold medalist, right? And the mantra that his coach gave him was the main things to keep the main thing the main thing. And that is about staying locked in and staying focused on what you're doing. That's keeping your main thing the main thing.
What's up, ladies and gents? This is Mike Headley, host of the Headley Group Real Estate Show. The podcast was designed to show business professionals who happens to have a license to sell real estate how you can make money outside of just selling a piece of property. We are talking to entrepreneurs that's making things happen. Continue to tune in.
Hey, ladies and gents, this is Mike Headley. We are back for the great episode on Headley Group Real Estate Show. Listen, family, got a brother right here who is doing his thing in the Philly markets and other markets as well in terms of his education. This brother is an investor. Reading his resume here, he's a teacher and a mentor, and he has so much jewels and knowledge he's going to drop on us. But I'm going to have him let you tell you that. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Brian Grimes with 24/7 University. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man. Listen, brother. We appreciate you, man, for being want to come on the show. And like I said, one thing about our show, we keep it real. And the brother reached out and we checked him out and we said, yo, we like what this brother's doing. We feel as though this is great for our audience because, again, we show real estate professionals who happens to have a license. You can make money not just selling a piece of property, right? You can do so many different things. Right? And that's how I got in the business as an investor. And then I got my license, took a whole nother turn, so to speak. So, Mr. Brian, Brian or Mr. Grimes, which one you want to talk to?
Either one. People call me BG, whatever's comfortable.
Okay.
For you.
Got you. We like to be respectful on the show, definitely. Man. Make sure people feel, how they like to be acknowledged. So, brother, you've been in the game in terms of real estate and investing. How long you been in the business, and what was that itch? I ask every guest, what was that itch to say, let me go this way in terms of real estate and this particular population, meaning rental property?
Yeah.
If that's the case, but you didn't dive into it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I've been in the game for a little over a decade now. So really just starting off kind of like most of us with a house hack and a multi. I was going to live in a kind of a knock-in basement unit, like wasn't legal. And then had 2 apartments above that, rent out the apartments. I was going to live for free, actually make maybe like $400 a month to live in my own property. And that was my first deal. And I kind of just kept buying multis and then got into the full gut renovation. And that was when things started to really become scalable and explode. I would say the itch, like the aha moment for me with real estate, I was when I was like younger, just in college, I had a buddy of mine who was in real estate and like, my best friend. So we're talking about real estate all the time, and he graduated before me. So we're at like a college bar, just hanging out, and he pulls out a knot of like, maybe it's like $2,500 of cash. And I'm like, what is that? I'm a broke college kid still. And he's like, oh, this is the rent money. This is the rent roll. And I'm like, all right, I need to figure this thing out. So I knew I wanted to get into real estate. I also knew I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to call my own shots. I wanted financial freedom. So I graduated from Columbia University and with an economics degree, and they would railroad like the economics people into investment banking. And you could make good money. You could knock down $180 right out of college as an investment banker, but they're working 20-hour days, and they had no control over their life. I went into financial planning, 100% commission, no salary, and just grinded because I wanted to have that financial freedom and that control of my day. So I knew real estate and building residual income was going to be what was going to allow me to have control of my lifestyle. First and foremost. So I just would save all my money and put it into real estate. And that's how I got my first deal. And then just kept going, kept saving and working until I could do it, full time.
I like that, brother. Now, we got to peel that onion back. We got to get a little specific, right? The brother pulled out on you $2,500.
Yeah.
Right now. Inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wow. And like you said, clearly, college days, you think about real estate.
Yeah.
What the first deal? House hacked, is that the case?
Yeah.
So tell us about that first one.
So the first one, like, when you're first getting started, you don't know much. So everything is scary.
Correct.
If you're not scared, I always say you better check your pulse. Like you might not be alive anymore. You should be horrified.
Not be a human.
Deal. Yeah.
Correct.
And my first deal was the scariest for me, even though now, I'll go into a burnout and full gut renovate it. Doesn't scare me at all.
Okay.
This was a turnkey property. I looked at how I got it was I started going out during my lunch break, after work, sometimes before work, calling out sick of work and just going to see properties. So just getting my volume up, getting my reps up, seeing 10 deals a week. And you kiss enough frogs, you're going to, uncover that perfect gem of a deal. So I found this property, and the guy who sold it to me, I bought it at the top of the market for $130,000 back in like 2012, 2013. And the guy who had it, he was a ex-convict, right? So he had been out for maybe 5 years. He learned how to build houses in prison. And he had 8 properties at this point. And I was asking him, like, why are you letting this go? Because he decked out the basement. It was all done up. He did all the work himself. And he's like, I got another deal. I want to unload this and take the cash and go put it into this other project. But, talking to him about building cash flow in a portfolio and seeing him do it was also, motivational. But I ended up negotiating a seller's assist from this deal with him. So he credited like $3,000 or $4,000 towards the deal. I came to the table with, I believe, $5,500, and I only had $10,000 to my name. Put that down. And this property, when I had it fully tenanted, it was cash flowing about $1,000 a month. So I got all my money back 5 to 7 months.
After expenses?
Yeah, after expenses, like pure cash flow.
Okay.
And got all my money back 5 to 7 months, and then was just like cash flowing through that. But I did the FHA house hack, so I put down 3.5%, got this 3% seller's assist, and trusted the game, trusted the numbers at the end of the day. The numbers in real estate, when you get good at numbers, good at running comps, good at projecting rents and using the right websites, the numbers don't lie. Like the numbers really don't lie in real estate. So you can trust it. And you never had big problems, out of this property. Still hold it today. It's just been a great asset.
Wow. The great thing about that is you walked into a property without actually not having to fix it up.
Exactly.
Right? Oh boy. I think, you came on much better than me. And again, the show is not about me, but my first deal, literally I had to, what I was doing, I had to, buy paint from Walmart. Yeah. Kind of do the walls myself. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had to fix it up. So kudos to you by walking in the deal, and it was kind of ready for you.
Yeah, turnkey is the way to go. Like if you're new to the game, I tell people all the time, like, look, there's nothing sexy about a turnkey property, right? Because you watch HGTV, Property Brothers, you see some guy running in with a sledgehammer. That's really attractive. But the game is not about renovation. It's about being a landlord and understanding, are you going to be a good landlord? Can you tenant? Can you property manage? Can you keep your licenses up to date so that you can evict properly? Do you know how to evict? You want to go through a lot of that back end stuff, which I call like the monetization piece of this business versus the building. There's no monetization in building properties. Exactly. That's money going out. So you want to get straight to the money coming in. And then once you master that, you can always turn backwards and go to renovation. It's an easier evolution than the trial by fire that you went through, and I threw myself into when I got into full gut renovation, where you're dealing with contractors. You might get burned for money. You get overcharged for things. You don't know how to get permits. Inspectors are on your back. You're just going through it. Yeah.
Well, I like that. I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
No, I like that concept of just walking in ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? It's particularly with people who are new into the business.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have nobody to model after. You see HDTV YouTube videos, and you see just the internet in itself. But to have somebody physically to assist you, that's tough and it's challenging.
Yeah.
Considering the turnkey, what would you say to somebody who may push back on that and say, well, if I'm buying this rental property that's completely turnkey, that means I'm quite sure it's digging into my profits, right? Particularly if I got a loan out. So now my margins are so slim. But I'll take my chances by hiring my cousin, right? who's done some work before. Like, what do you say to that person?
I think I've seen more people lose money from a false sense of security than anything. They say the punch you can't see knocks you out, right? And the cousin, the uncle who, hey, my uncle does a little bit of work. Well, your uncle tells you he's Action Jackson, right? Like he can run into the house with a rubber band and a paper clip and put it back together. But the reality is he might just be a carpenter. He might just know how to put down flooring and not really understand all of the different disciplines that go into renovating a property until you put him to the test. But when you put that person in there to manage your project, you have a false sense of security. And that's how you get burned for tens of thousands of dollars. So I would say always be careful of the people closest to you that will present that they can handle it. A lot of them can't. And that false sense of security makes you drop the ball and just take your eye off of things. There can be profit margin squeezes, but look, I bought this property for $130,000. It's worth $280 now, and I bought it at the top of the market, right? Turnkey, put down 3.5%, and I bought it for exact asking price. So over the long run, if you're going to hold these properties for 30 years, they're probably going to be worth more than you paid for them. So I go back to the cash flow game. The cash flow game is a numbers game. Even if it eats into your cash flow, cash flow is relative. So on a deal that you have to full gut renovate, you have to pour tens of thousands of dollars of cash into that deal. So even if the cash flow number is $800 a month versus $500 a month, if you only had to put down $5K for that $500, your cash on cash return is probably substantially higher if you're putting less out of pocket and getting, some cash flow coming in. So I always look at it as the cash on cash return. And that is based on what I have to put into the deal versus, the money that comes out of it on a monthly basis. So I would just look at the numbers and really weigh it apples to apples. So there can be deals that don't make sense, but your job is to find that deal or that area that does make sense. That area that has low property taxes, high rents. Maybe you can buy further into the C class where the cash flow is a little bit higher. So it's just a matter of finding the right deal.
Like you just said, yes, everything is the numbers. What do you say to a person just picked up a property and we know that the contractors can overcharge you and that's a huge hit on your profits if you didn't get the turnkey? How do you vet that person? What questions is to ask? So what do you find that person? Because I've always said, if you go to Google, you might get robbed. But at the same time, I got my opinion, but I want to hear yours and vetting that contractor who will stay loyal to you and won't rob you.
Yeah, I always tell people there's a structural way to do it. So the way to really evaluate a contractor, most of us do it wrong. We start evaluating contractors before we have the deal. So we start making phone calls. Hey, I'm going to have a deal, future tense, and I want to know what the price would be on XYZ. And you're throwing off things that make you look new. How I teach my people to do it is get a deal under contract first. Have like a 30 to 60 day contract. Now you have 30 to 60 days to run people into the deal. It's a different vibe when you're standing in the property and saying, this is the deal that you're going to have or lose. What's the best you can do here? Understand that price shopping is relative. The cheapest person is not always the one you want to go with, because you could run into a contractor game where guys are like, hey, I can get this done for $50K, knowing it'll cost $100, and that they're going to try to get ahead of the draws and run up the money on you. But once you commit mentally to the $50K, even when things start going wrong, you don't want to mentally accept that this is going to cost $100K. So now you're trapped. You're stuck with this person.
That's right.
So there's a contractor game there. So you're not looking for the cheapest. In terms of questions, I recommend mentorship, right? Which is why I put together different mentorship programs for people that will like lay out the knowledge, the turnaround times for renovations, what contractors cost. So what your GC pays the subs, even down to like the guy who cleans out the trash or does the dump runs. Like, what do they pay them? $100 a day, $150 a day, $200 a day? What's the plumber and the electrician get paid? So having that knowledge, but then also when you know the time frames for these things, like it takes a week to do the sheetrock job, it takes 2 days to hang, day to tape. They got to come back, sand, spackle, come back, touch it up, then let it dry for a couple. You have to know the turnaround times, and when you know that, then you start asking questions like, so how long would it take you to sheetrock the property? Then they give you an answer. It's going to take 2 weeks. Why would it take 2 weeks? It's going to take 2 days to hang, a day and a half to tape, sand, spackle, come back, let it dry, come back, touch it up. So it's a week. So once again, how long would it take you? Oh, well, I could get it done in a week. Well, you just passed the test right there. So you start asking time frames. And if they say, oh, well, it'll take 2 weeks, what would it take? How many guys? X amount of guys. What would it take for you to speed up and get it done in a week? You start asking them questions that show competence. And what it will do is it will make you not look new. It will run away a scam artist, a flim-flam man. It'll run them away because they're going to say, this guy's all over it. I'm not going to be able to pull my move. So it's really about just being, knowing the right questions to ask. But all those questions are based on timelines. And then things like, do you have your own tools? Professionals have tools. Guys who don't have their own tools aren't professionals, period. Like there's no exceptions. Like, so when you ask that question and they're like, no, I don't have tools. And it's like, all right, they're not really like a professional. Why would they not have tools? It's like a dentist not having, something to pull teeth with. Like it doesn't make any sense. So you have to get down to the nitty gritty. And I have a very strict interview process and questioning process that I take people through to challenge them and kind of poke and prod, test attitude. And that will keep you safe more than anything.
Are you looking for a real estate brokerage to help you buy or sell your property? The Headley Group Realty is here to assist you with that process. We also hire brokers to join us and give them the best training and mentorship, leading to a great office atmosphere and an attractive commission structure. Our goal is to show homeownership at the highest professional level and empower the real estate business. If you're interested in buying or selling your property, visit www.theheadleygroup.com or call us at 336-904-6212. We look forward to partnering with you.
Well, you answer, like I said, answer that question to the T. If I had to add anything, I'm quite sure you probably have it in your course. How many other projects you have going on?
That too.
Because they'll take on your project and do 3 or 4 other projects, and you like, oh, you're supposed to be done like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because you continue taking on jobs.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely.
And feeding on that is how do you like to get paid? So guys who, I need half up front. Nah. Like up front in the money, here's what you got to understand. And this is just bringing it back to just logic. Just because somebody's a good contractor doesn't mean they're a money manager. I've managed money for millionaires. Like I've managed money at a firm where we had 300 clients, $1.4 billion, right? So I've managed money for multi-millionaires. Being a asset manager and being a contractor are 2 different disciplines. You most likely in being able to save up 50 grand and be in a position to write checks to a contractor are a better money manager than them. Because if they had the money and they had the skill set of how to rehab properties, wouldn't they just go out and do their own deals? If they were like really good money management people, they would just go do their own deals, right? So don't write them the check. You have to manage the money. You have to manage that labor by the day, by the week. Get the work done, check the work, inspect the work, then release the money. So don't put that money in their hands. A lot of contractors, what I've learned is they're not bad people. They don't really intend to rob you. They are just so bad with money. It's like if I take a kid and he makes the MBA and I give him $2 million, that $2 million is going to be spent in 2 months because he doesn't know how to manage money. If I give that to a 40-year-old man, he's going to keep more of it because he's lived more and managed money more. So a lot of these contractors are just not good money managers. They don't intend to rob you. They just get into that thing. And like you said, when they have 3 other jobs, they start robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's right. And I don't know if that's a trend because that is so true. Majority of the contractors and technology skills too is in a toilet. Great with their hands, but they don't know how to do email.
Contractors are artists. They're artists. Yes, they're very talented as artists. That doesn't make them like tech people and stuff. Like it's such a different skill set. Yeah.
Makes sense. Let me ask you this here. Now, you mentioned your property still have, said the equity, you said the value is now about $280,000.
Yeah.
Unsure if you did it. If you're willing to share it, it's up to you. Do you believe in the burst strategy? Did you pull any money out to fund any other deals?
I didn't pull any money out of this deal to fund anything else, just because I didn't have to. Like, I was setting it up in a way where I would just save everything. Like, I'm a guy who will live so low to the ground. Like, I got into the principles of, like, pay yourself first, 10%, then 20. And at a point, it's paying myself 50% of every check. So I wasn't even looking at that. I was looking kind of more of a slow and steady. But in terms of, building out, getting up to 300 deals, like, how do you get up to 300 properties in 5 years? It's the burst strategy. It's taking capital, putting it into a deal, buying a shell for 20 grand from the sheriff's sale that has an ARV of 220, putting $100K into it, full gut renovating it, pulling out, as much money as you can get out, 30, 40K in a cash out refinance, and then reinvesting that capital again and again and again. The burst strategy is not only the way for growth and scalability, but also from a tax standpoint, bonus depreciation, tax write-offs. If you have a spouse who's also working a W-2 and you're doing the real estate, you can, in many ways, take a total loss on their income, right? So you could get enough losses off of the real estate activity to wipe out your spouse's income completely. And that could lead to a $50,000, $60,000 tax return for like a lot of us. So the tax game is what you will really learn is the most valuable part of the burst strategy. Even if you're not making cash flow, you'll be getting back so much money in tax returns and just tax incentives that it just gets crazy.
Let the people know. I know we mentioned all these acronyms and alphabets. Let people know what the burst strategy is, as well as the ARV.
Yeah, you buy the property, you rehab the property, you rent the property, you refinance the property, you repeat. So buy, rehab, rent, refi, repeat. And that's the burst strategy. And it's just the perfect strategy for me in a C-class neighborhood. It really is, because you can create value and you can start to step into that scale, that economy of scale where your costs go down. You start to buy materials in bulk. You can get a big construction team and run them through a lot of deals and just make a lot of money and have community impact.
Mm-hmm. Tell people what the ARV is.
After repair value. So the ARV,
okay, gotcha, right.
This is like, if you buy a property, a lot of us look at like hard money. If you learn how to use hard money, that can be an accelerator. It's a double-edged sword because you need to be able to renovate like quickly and get in and out of deals. But they're basically going to look at a shell. If you bought a shell for 10 grand, they're going to send in an appraiser and they're going to look at what properties like that are fully renovated are selling for. So if those properties fully renovated would sell for 180, then the after repair value of that $10,000 shell would be 180 after you repair it. So that's an important number to get down. And then it's important to learn how to run your comps so you can project ARVs on deals before you even purchase them.
Nice. Well, Brian, let's transition to these, one of the most important parts of the show that kind of got me going. 300 deals.
Yeah.
Brother, that right there is that right there gets a round of applause in that one. Yeah, we got 300 deals, brother. That we got to talk about.
Yeah.
That. How do somebody get to that point of 300 deals, 500 deals, 100 deals, right? Well, was there one secret, an ingredient, or a certain system and formula, I'm going to lean towards that you utilize to get you to that point of 300 deals?
I think it's just at the end of the day, the reward for good work is more work. So it's really about what I've learned in this business from a lender's perspective is your number one job is not to get big very quickly. It's just to stack wins. Just stack wins. Even if it's a layup. Like it doesn't matter a 3-pointer versus a layup versus a free throw. It does not matter in real estate. It's just wins and losses. Right. It's pass fail in this game. So if you just keep stacking wins, here's how a lender thinks. I'm going to give you $100K. and then you take the money and you do a deal, you win. You stack a win with 100. Then they come back and say, all right, give them $1 million. And then you stack a win with $1 million, then they give you 10 million.
That's right.
Then they'll give you 100 million. So if you just keep stacking wins and keep doing good by your people as well, you're only as strong as your team. So it's not, people look at me and say, he did 300 deals. I didn't do 300 deals. My team that I built, we did 300 deals. I could have.
Well, let me interject.
Yeah.
Let me interject. Shout to your team.
Yeah, the team.
We now give Brian all his credit. Shout to his team.
Shout to the team.
Each and every one.
Yeah, because it takes a team. That's why I was able to do this, is because I would go up against another investor, and another investor who has an ego, who says, look what I can do. I got 30 deals. And I say, that's cool, but you're one guy. When you burn out, if I burn out, I can go to the park and I might have 40 virtual assistants and 150 contractors banging hammers all day.
Nice.
So that team, we can eat your lunch. You know, it's like Michael Jordan playing 1 against 50. Like I'm going to win, even if we're all scrubs. I'm going to win. So having a strong team and getting people to buy into that belief system that there's always going to be more food than you can eat. So if there's one secret, the secret is to have more food than your team can eat. So here's what I do. Just like I would never, if you drop me out of a parachute in Idaho right now, I would get a property under contract first and then seek out contractors, because I know how the game works. Now, the second level of that is, once I get these guys, all right, you're going to be my crew, we're going to get in this first deal. The whole conversation, even before they start that first deal, is, by the time we're done this, I'm going to have 2 for you. I'm going to have 2 more deals for you. And by the time they're done that deal, I better have 2 deals under contract. And then the conversation is, by the time we're done these 2, I'm going to have 4. And you keep having that conversation and you keep showing up with more deals than they can work through. When you do that, contractors start to understand, if I stick with this guy, it's just an endless stream of money. And I can work at a certain price point and have consistent money. Because a lot of contractors will work 1 month and then the other month they're sitting on the couch and their wife's yelling at them. Like, what are you doing here? You know, like, if you can provide that steady income, the wife's happy, they're making the money consistently. You can make less if you're making it consistently versus having to squeeze somebody on a deal because you know you're going to sit on the couch for a month and not have any income. So understanding all the dynamics and then just putting that play together, but having more deals than your team can eat allows you to build a stronger nucleus. And then it allows you to have the lenders in place to see the volume, and you can continue to just stack wins and stay laser focused. Also, just staying lasered in on one strategy, because when you have success, people try to pull you into everything. Oh, you should go commercial, Brian. Oh, you should go flip in the A-class, Brian. No, I'm not doing all that. I'm doing what I'm doing. You go do that. Stay locked in.
That's it. I like that, brother. I like that. And I think also increases your integrity. You know, you keep your
100%.
Right, and people want to rock with you. They say, "Wow, listen, Ryan's going to take good care of us. He's going to keep them deals flowing. We will continue to do business with."
That's it. That's it.
The team, the team. Let me ask you this here, brother. Again, if you care to share, what does that dynamic look like with your team? Right, I don't know where you sit within that pyramid or how that structure is set up, but if you mind talking about that team, or now getting too specific
in terms of how it's set up in terms of like from a management standpoint. I mean, in order to, your job, if you're me, which I consider myself a developer, if I had to put a title on it, your job is to have more knowledge, have the knowledge of every individual player, all kind of in one, because it makes you like, I'm as knowledgeable as my architect, as my engineer, as my contractor, as my lender, as my eviction attorney. So you have to be as knowledgeable as every individual player, so then you can put all of these different systems in place together. So you will sit naturally at the top and be more of a director role. Your job's not to stand in houses and build them, but to make everybody's life easier, to create systems of communication. So I might focus and dwell on just creating a platform where my contractors can communicate more efficiently. So I've done things like put in digital walkie-talkie systems so my contractors can just communicate on the fly versus drive to each other. and do physical communication. So it's like all these little systems are the things that allow you to outdo your competition who has no systems. So it's truly taking contractors who don't use technology, like you said, and then getting easy plug and play technology that they become comfortable with and setting up that system and showing them how to use it. That it can be more valuable in terms of speed, because how do you save money in real estate? You move faster. Right. And then construction can only move so fast. So then your supply lines have to move faster. Your communication lines have to move faster, because the actual physical hammer and nail process only goes so fast. And then you lose, you don't have any more efficiency to gain there. So it's setting up those things, having things like a warehouse, dump trucks, just different efficiencies that will allow you to be good. And then communicating with key personnel, like you always want to have team leaders. You need generals. You need other leaders who lead men that can, you can delegate things to, like, and then just having good systems, having inspectors, having people who will go out and look at the work and get you reports and videos of the work so that you can see more. So it's so many levels. I mean, that's why I have a 100, plus hour tutorial based course on this stuff, because it's so much game.
We gonna dive into that, brother.
It's a crazy amount of game. Like I can't. There's so many systems. I almost, even in telling you 10, I've forgotten 100. Systems. But there's a lot of it. But it's really just taking your time and building one system at a time, and listening to your people, listen to your team. They're going to tell you the pain points, and your job is to solve them. At the end of the day, it's not to do the work. It's not to work in the business. It's to work on the business. That's the difference.
Correct.
Are you looking to join a winning team? Join us as a broker and receive high-level training, mentorship, and an awesome commission structure. If you're interested, visit www.theheadleygroup.com or call us at 336-904-6212. We look forward to partnering with you.
Like I said, so many good, valuable nuggets you just dropped there. Different segments in real estate, right? Like you just mentioned that people try to shift you over here because you're successful in this particular section in real estate. Do you prefer cash flowing rental property, single family, multifamily? What is your choice, and why go down that particular lane?
I like cash flow, right? Like my YouTube channel is Brian Loves Cash Flow, because I just like cash flow. I don't care if it's a single, a multi. If you could buy land and rent the land out and get some cash flow, I'd do that too. Like all of the cash flow is good. Now you have to adjust to the market. The reason I love real estate is because it's like sports. Like if you're a basketball guy, which in a former life, I was probably exclusively like a basketball guy. If somebody's 2 feet off you, you shoot the ball. If they're right up on you, you drive around them. Like you react to the game. In real estate, like when interest rates were 3-4%, single families, I had single families that cash flow better than multis. Right now, with rates a little higher, their multifamily for cash flow is a lot better, because you can just get more bang for your buck, more cash flow per asset, and it's just a better value proposition. Or doing single to multi conversions, where you're seeing value that other people can't see. There's a lot of money in that as well. I found overall, from a macro level, you want to look at the way that money flows into these industries and see where the profits are. So there's big money in real estate. Real estate's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, right? So there's big money in it. And when I say big money, I mean there are companies with $500 million, like hedge funds, where they got to dump $500 million every 6 months. Why? So they can prove that they need to raise $1.5 billion and that they can deploy it. That's it. They don't even have to prove it's profitable. They just got to prove that they can dump it and get rid of it. Correct. And they're going to do that into the commercial buildings first, because they can dump more money per asset. It's easier for them to underwrite versus going and trying to dump $500 million into a bunch of $100,000 properties, $100,000 singles, which means those singles are lower to the ground. There's less institutional competition. Then you look at the mom and pops and say, what can they not afford? Probably like the $500,000 multifamily properties. So there's a sweet spot there in those 2 to 4 unit multifamily buildings in major cities that the big money can't get there and the mom and pop can't scale up. That's where your profit can be. And you start looking at things from a macro level like that. Where can I focus in? Because the profit margins will get squeezed out of commercial quickly. There's a lot of competition and bigger money than you. So you just look at this, these things.
And I was just going to add, like you said, the money's being squeezed. We do know the big money players that do not normally want to mess with the C-class property.
Absolutely.
They don't mess with that. They do,
but they don't know how.
They don't know how.
They don't know
I
how.
like that. Exactly. Great.
They
point.
don't know how.
Because we know how to deal with some of our people, if or some people who resides in the C-class.
Yeah, I've been on the phone with people from JP Morgan who were like, "Hey, we'll stroke you, X amount per year, like big numbers, multiple seven figure. Like we'll stroke you that to pour into C-class neighborhood." They don't know how, but for these lenders, here's what a lender cares about: diversification. They're managing a risk bucket. So if they're only lending to people who are pouring properties into Manhattan, Harlem, and all these parts of New York, and they say, let me see your Northeast Coast book of business. It's all Boston and New York and Jersey City. And they say, you don't got no Philly in here? No, not really.
Correct.
They're not well diversified, because what if something happens to New York? Now they lose a lot of money. They want these books of business in Philly, Baltimore, Cleveland, Detroit, but they don't have the people that they can tap into, which is why I spend so much time building developers in these areas, because it's like if you learn how to do it, you will become a plug essentially for that money to flow through you into the community. You become the facilitator. They don't know how to underwrite. They don't know how to run the comps. Your lender who has $100 million, they don't even know what the value of the property is. I promise you. And they don't know how to build it. They don't know full gut renovation. They don't know anything. That's why you're there. And that's why they want to deal with you as soon as you step up and start to master this stuff. So they do want to. They don't know how to, and they don't have the skill set or the resources to do it.
Well, brother, let's talk about it. Right now, let's transition into that mentor, that course, that program you got where you educate, where you said you're trying to build these developers literally throughout the country.
Definitely.
Dive into that.
Yeah, so I built my 100 Keys Masterclass. I named it that because I want all my people to get 100 properties, 100 keys, right? And it breaks down the full game, starting from nothing. Like, what mindset do I need? How do I repair my credit? How do I get myself ready to go on this journey to scaling up, from 0 to over 100 properties, all the systems, how to full gut renovate, how to build construction crews, where to find them, how to talk to them, how to set up your LLCs and your structuring so that you're compliant and that you're able to evict and do different things and keep what you make. So it breaks down the entire game in modules. And that's been successful for people who are in places like LA. Like a lot of us are in LA and the West Coast, and the real estate's so expensive. We need to learn how to invest out of town in other markets. Exactly. So I break down that process. Like,
cap rates is horrible.
Yeah, cap rates are horrible. You're a New Yorker. Yeah. I live up in the New York area, and I've been out here since graduating from Columbia. I invest in Philly, Baltimore. I've built hundreds of properties at least 2 state lines away. I promise you, I'm not seeing it in these properties. So my whole process is, how can we do this remotely, leveraging the technology? How can you do it out of town so your money goes further? So I break that whole process down. And then we have, for people who are truly just like, hey, I'm working, I like what I do, because my whole thing is like, break out of the 9 to 5 and into this real estate. But some of us actually do like what we do, even if we're the smaller percentage. I have a program, my Boots on the Ground program, where I actually do all of this kind of for people. And it's an ultimate shortcut. I had to step back and say, if I could make somebody me, one of my mentees asked me, how can I become you? And I said, well, who am I? How do I articulate this and design it? And what I am is sitting at the helm and air traffic controlling and approving deals and pushing buttons, essentially. And that only requires like an hour a day. So I set up the Boots on the Ground to say, I'll help you to find the deals, to source the pennies on the dollar deals, the deals that we can get for, $50,000 that are worth $300,000, $350,000. Like, I'm going to help you to find those deals, put them under contract. We're going to full gut renovate them, cut out the middleman, cut out the GC. We're buying materials direct. We're paying labor direct by the day, with proven crews. And then we're going to property manage them, tenant them, cash flow them. You own it. I'm working, plugging you into my model on like a fee based model, so that you own it. Because in real estate, it's a team sport. I'm all about the team, but ownership is a solo sport. It's like tennis. It's like golf, like it's solo. So you have to own it so that you can control it. You don't need a bunch of partners. You just need to be plugged in. So I have that program. I have people from all over the country. Some people from outside of the country, like Canada, where they're priced out, are tapped in.
Really?
And I'm building houses for them in Philly.
Wow.
Full gut renovation style, everything documented, videos every day. So it's been really magical. I've been doing ride-alongs for people in Philly. Sometimes I'll rent a tour bus. We'll drive around the city, show you the game, walk into some of these projects that we're actively rehabbing right now, meet the contractors right now, and see the hot spots. So a lot of these different platforms have given people the opportunity that I didn't have to really, like, I wanted it so bad. And just like you did, but we ended up standing in a property knowing nothing. Hoping for the best, right? Versus having an outlet where we could tap in and be like, hey, he's going to hold my hand through the first deal, or he's going to take me on this ride-along tour where I can actually see the property, like the interior and how it's gutted and reframed, and so I can have some confidence to go out and do this thing myself. So I have all of these different resources for people who are at various levels but want to get started. So entry level to I'm building a house for you, to we're just doing a ride-along and you're going to see it and go put your hands on it. Like we have all that put together.
Nice. And where can they find that?
You can find it. You just have to tap in. Like if you go to www.workwithgrimes.com/cashflow, workwithgrimes.com/cashflow. You can find me on Instagram, Brian Grimes _247 CFU for 24/7 CashFlow University. YouTube, Brian Loves Cashflow. Brian Loves Cashflow on YouTube. Everything's backlinked, so if you see any video, any post, you can click the link in the description, link in the bio, and you can get a hold of me and tap into some of the free trainings that I have for you guys as well.
During the course, inside your course, you have access to nationwide lenders as well.
Oh yeah,
you can reach out to and all that good stuff.
All that. No,
I know it's a silly question.
No, it wasn't a silly question. It was something I didn't mention. Like, we have lenders that'll give you 100% of the money to purchase and rehab.
Property.
Yeah, to purchase and rehab the property.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Let me get my applause in this man here, brother. He said 100%.
100% leverage.
Usually you would talk to a finance person. They'll say, we only do 70% of the deal, 80% of the deal. You got to come with the rest. Have some skin in the game. If this brother's putting this out there, it's definitely worth a shot. People will follow up.
Yeah, no, it's 100% over here. And that's how I was able to scale so quickly, was by tapping into 100% leverage. So I always put that out and plug my people in to that 100% leverage. You have to have the proper knowledge, because like I said, it's a double-edged sword. But once you do, it will accelerate you tenfold.
Well, listen, brother, let me tell you something, man. You usually I'll ask a question. I got to kind of keep asking questions because, the guests will catch it. But with you, brother, you have it, right? The knowledge is there. The groundwork is there. The platform is there to show people exactly, this is how I did it. I can do it for you. Brian, we ask every guest that's on the show for 2 golden nuggets. Brother, you literally gave us 1,000, right? 2 golden nuggets, whether it's a book, quote, scripture, or something personal to you, to keep people, to give them that inspiration to keep going. What exactly is that? Go ahead and go.
A good book for you guys, if you're obsessed with real estate and you really want to learn more about the BRRRR strategy, is the Section 8 Bible. There are different. It's funny because you said like scripture, but it's not the Bible, but it's the Section 8 Bible for real. And it will show you that entire BRRRR strategy game and how to Section 8. They have volumes 1, 2, and 3. It started by 2 guys from Philly, South Philly guys, and they just partnered up and they built like a 400 or 500 property portfolio in about 7 years. And I patterned my business model off of them and went out and did it, right? So the Section 8 Bible is amazing. So many nuggets. It's one of my favorite reads, and it's an easy read. I'm an audiobook guy, so I don't like to read like a ton of books, but this is an easy read.
Easy read.
The kind of like it's become like the family mantra, but my father was a All-American 400 meter runner, and his coach was one of like the guys who put up like the fist in the 68, Olympics, gold medalist, right? And the mantra that his coach gave him was the main things to keep the main thing the main thing. And that is about staying locked in and staying focused on what you're doing, keeping your main thing the main thing. And I try to live life along that. There's so many shiny bells and whistles out there, especially when you're having success. People want to pull you, distract you. Do what's working. Keep the main thing the main thing, and just stay locked in on your mission, and it will pay off. Staying locked in this world, especially with so much distraction, so much social media, so much going on, is more important than it even was when my father was, given this mantra from his mentor. Definitely. So main things to keep the main thing the main thing. So if anybody asks me what I'm doing, I'm keeping the main thing the main thing. The main thing is buy and hold, C-class, rebuilding communities, keeping my team fed, keeping everybody locked in, tapped in, and building more developers. That's the main thing. That's what I'm doing. And that's what it is.
Nice. Brian, here's the thing. We ask every guest this, and you probably do have one. Is there a question you would like to answer that I did not ask?
I think you covered it. I mean, I think we got it all out. We got all the knowledge out. I know there's people are probably like, oh, why didn't he talk about this or that? I think I could personally talk about this stuff for, like at least a year straight, man. And if you go on my YouTube
brother,
page,
you're gonna be an alumni.
Yeah, like there's just so much.
Get you on part two,
we gotta
brother.
do part two.
We get the part 2 episode.
Yeah, you might get some people like, hey, why aren't you asking this? Why aren't you asking that? So we'll come back and answer some more stuff. But we gave a lot of game today. So we'll save some for part 2.
A lot of good game. Exactly, brother. But listen, brother, let me tell you something. I want to thank you for being on the Headley Group Real Estate Show. And listen, you gave the audience something fabulous. Listen, people, the brother literally told you, follow his course, get the course going. He can educate you. Literally, he will build it from the ground up and put tenants in to fix it up for you if you want it that way. So either way, tap into the brother. Brian, thanks for being on the show.
Appreciate it.
And we want to thank you and all our audience, and we'll see everybody next time on the Headley Group Real Estate Show.
Hey, gang, I hope you really enjoyed that show. Our guests provide us some great tips and insight, and please support them on all social media platforms. And while I'm saying that, support us on all social media platforms, and don't forget, watch the entire video on YouTube. We'll see you next time.